Hey Hollywood Hills fans, and welcome to another show. Sorry about the light here, I'm a little bit blown out. It's very, very bright outside right now and I'm obviously facing the window. So this weekend, as you can see, or the weekend before should I say, obviously it takes us quite a while to get through the edits, but it's still very fast work to actually get everything done when we come back from an event. So it was round 3 of the 424s. This was my first 424 in like 3 years. I worked with Jono and the boys in the 2019 championship, and obviously we've been doing the filming, so me and the LiveX lads, but mainly the LiveX lad have been going up there and making it happen so we can put it out on Hollywood Hills. This was the first time I got a chance to go up there and check out what goes down at the 424s. You can see it's a tour that's on the up. They're really doing a really good job, from the minis to the juniors. Biggest quad numbers racing in the country at the moment, and of course a good lineup of the bikes. They had a record entry, 301 riders at this round, and that's their third round. So I think they're going to be a tour that's going to really pick up the pace later on in the season as well. But without further ado, this was round number 3 of the 424 cross countries in 2022, and the first time I was out there, I had a rip in time. All of this 424 Off-Road Series cross-country racing action is proudly brought to you in association with HFC Engineering, Mastercars VW Hatfield, AC Crane Maintenance, EMD Boxberg, Insight Printing and Packaging, the 424 Garage, Savuti Transport, Old School Customs, and welcoming K Creative. Round 3 of the 424 Championship rolled into a brand new venue, Die Tapcar out in Delmas. Delmas was a venue on the cards last year, but now this is going to be a rock and roller down by the lakes. It's going to be a moist one. You'd think racing this deep into the year we'd have a dry race, but you would be wrong. This is going to be another moist racing affair, but with record entries of just over 300 riders across the junior quads and the senior motorcycles meant it was going to be a super busy and fun day for everyone involved as we reach the halfway marker of the 424 Championship.
Okay, we're here for round number 3 on the 424 series of 2022. We had the Tapcar in Delmas. Venue is perfect for what we do. It's just awesome. They host a lot of car rallies here as well. So yeah, we're blessed with a venue where we can fit everything in that we love into a perfect venue.
As always, the day and the event would kick things off with the minis.
The minis has got today about a 1.6 kilometer loop. Like you know, we began in the beginning of the year with just a flat track. The next race we gave them some grasslands. Today we're giving them grasslands with a little bit of mud and about 2 or 3 jumps, just to start them to get used to all the elements that's outside in a big race.
Number of riders turning up for the mini event, and a good way to start things off for the day as well. Whilst everyone was out there in the pits getting themselves ready for the pro junior and pro quad event, the minis would be the first feature going out there. At the previous round, it was Travis Herbst who swung a leg just less than 1 week before his first event and went out and took his first win. He would have some stiffer competition this time around. Quinton Vermark was on his elbow, Arizona Daniil, Shane Nienaber, Jason Claassen, Jaden Douglas, Haley DeToy, Rosinka Joost, Luca Schmidtke, Zane Lees, and Lacey May Powell, the one and only quad racer out there on the junior gate, as they went out to take on the short 1.6, but slightly challenging mini loop. As Jono was saying in the build-up, it was grassland, so it allows these kids to develop their skills, and the whole idea is by the end of this season, a couple of these kids who are new to the sport of cross-country will be moving up and getting onto the line in the full junior event, where they'll not only race a bigger loop, but also for a longer period of time. It's all about development when we go mini racing. All the riders had a great time out there, cleared the track, and then it was time to get serious and line things up for the quaddies. and the juniors. As customary at these events, everyone was listening intently to the riders' briefing to try and understand how the track was going to be running, what markers to watch out for, and how the danger markers were all listed. Before we went to the line, though, we caught up with a few reactions.
Yeah, Jono's been doing a lot of work and it's showing. He's doing good. I think this is the biggest entries he's had. And yeah, let's hope for the best. Looks a bit muddy, but I'm sure it'll be good.
We're racing the 44, the 44 in Delmas.
I think it's going to be a little bit wet. Looks the wet here. Dusty as well. But yeah, I'm sure it's going to be fine.
Well, according to the others, very muddy. Well, there's muddy sections, so just take it or just full throttle through the muddy sections.
What you doing here, bro?
Just chilling, relaxing before the race, and just hoping to do good today, and just having fun.
We're gonna go play in the mud again as always. You know how it goes, yeah. So no, looking forward to today. I think I don't think there's gonna be too much dust. I think we still had a few rain in the last few weeks. So looking at the soil here at the start, I think it might be a wet one again.
What we've been seeing with the 424s is at every race we start to see a few more players coming in, and as the quad for entry tapped out at just over 40, we saw some of the main dudes go out there and rip the bars off. In the Q1s, there was a return of Matt Smith, who looked like he's got a decent Honda underneath him this time, but of course everyone was going to be chasing down on the championship points leader. That was Clayton Burta. Burta didn't get the drop off the gate this time. It was Reinhard Swart, who saw clear air and would start to run away early in the event. Q2s was going to be a mixed bag as well. You had some really fast riders out there. David Stratham customarily not getting off the gate exactly how he wants to, but always comes good by the end of the whole shot queue. He was second in turn 1, second in turn 2 after tagging the harebell, but by the time they went out of the whole shot queue, David Stratham was definitely going to be the man to beat on the Q2 gate, and he would climb the ladder quickly to tag his way past most of the Q1s on loop number 1. On the senior gate, it was going to be all eyes on Brian Herbst, but once again, he got caught out off the line. He only went into the first turn in 4th place, and he was going to be having to chase his way through a lot of very tough competitors this time around. But watch out, because we had the player on the money, and the man from 424 was going to be charging hard, as with his stablemate and teammate, David Stratham. By the end of the whole shot queue, it was the Brian Herbst show. On the ladies' gates, it was going to be an interesting one because everyone was trying to see if they could beat out on Corrine Thiessen. She has been near on unstoppable on the tour so far, but as always, it's going to be a mixed bag of the 424s and anything could happen. For this event as well, we had the quad wows lined up with the ladies, meaning the first lap was going to be interesting and everyone found their pace, found their flow and found their rhythm out there on the 30k loop. Back down on the gate, time to turn our attention to the juniors with the massive field of 85s going out there. This time around, it would be an 8k loop where Corbin Miller and Mitch Fallon would lead the charge on the 85s, but these guys would go on to set the fastest lap times throughout their 2 hours of racing in the morning session. But because they were first on the road as well, they would be the first guys to find the big mud bogs that were promised out there at the riders' briefing. The 65s was again a massive field of well over 30 riders. GJ Kutsia is the man on the gate at the moment. He's the man on the mission. He would go out there and challenge for a big run out there in the 424s, which is new to his racing format, but he seems to be able to turn his hand to anything in the 2022 championship. He had one of the upstarts, the 50cc reigning champion from last year, John-Luc van der Westhuizen, on his tail. John-Luc still in his first half season on the 65s. He would try and do some learning out there on the course. He left behind, though, the 50cc gate, where once again we saw the near-on unstoppable Declan Richards, although it was DC Daniel that got a nose ahead very early on. He got the whole shot queue, but then it was all about chasing down on the back wheel of Declan Richards, who came into this event as the standout favorite once again on the 50cc numbers. So, quads were out there on a 30K, juniors out there on an 8K. The morning session was well underway. pits fell quiet just for a moment until the end of Loop 1.
Okay, the junior loop is about 8 kilometers. Some grasslands, then we're going over to a little bit of mud, loose sand. Luckily there's no rocks, so the guys can move, they can go forward. That's going to be very, very nice. And yeah, some sweeps, some how can I say, contourwalle, what you call it in English. And yeah, that's all I can say. It's going to be fun.
With the morning session underway, it was clear by the end of loop number 1 there was going to be some challenges, not just for the juniors but also for the quads. By the time they came underneath the timing booth at the end of loop number 1, every kid had a story to tell. It wasn't maybe in words, but the bikes, covered in roost, mud, and all kinds of chaos coming in at the end of lap number 1, said it was going to be a wild day at the office. One of the big mud bogs that was a challenge for the juniors was opened and allowed racing to flow a little bit smoother as the rest of the 2-hour format went on. Caleb Van Heerden, although he went down a couple of times on loop number 1, did gather himself up to eventually get himself up into a number 5. A quick hole shot just for a couple of seconds in the race, and then DC Daniil eventually dropping down to a number 4 finish come the end of play, but still got a lot of learning and a lot of mileage under the belt on the little 50cc racer. Though Lombard was a little bit further up the road, tagging a number 3 ride, that's going to help him out in the championship challenge. Lombard been scoring points all season long. That's going to help him out climb the championship ladder come the end of the season. Josh Van Heerden, solid as ever. One of the kids to really dodge some of the chaos on loop number 1. Didn't get out of the gate exactly how he wanted to, but that was a benefit because he saw all the problems the kids had in the big mud bog that allowed him to dodge the bullet big time. Declan Richards, though, put the hammer down. He really put the hurt on the rest of the field the whole way through the morning session. By far the fastest kid on the 50cc's, and come the end of play, had enough time to really roll it back on the last couple of laps. He tagged the biggest numbers, the lap record on the 50cc's, and will now start to climb the ladder. But because he was a no-show in the early part of the championship, he's going to have to rip the bars off for the rest of the season to try and climb up on the numbers. On the 65cc gate, Derek Milan, who is a charger but is starting to find his feet once again after a couple of seasons of injuries. He tags a number 5 finished after some issues out there on the day. Up the road from him was the top Kawasaki kid on this gate. That's Ruben Skuman. Skuman also going to be a challenger on the championship tally as well, as he runs some good pace on the 65cc gate. But the 65cc championship cannot be called. It is very mixed bag as far as entries go, and there hasn't been a lot of consistent scorers throughout the challenge so far. Dalton Powell was up in the number 3 spot, and John-Luc van der Westhuizen didn't fade further past his early gate coming out of the queue in the number 2 spot, so he stays number 2 spot, and that's also going to see him try and challenge a little bit further up the field. He comes out of a number 6 ranking coming into this round, and we will see him improve. But GJ Kutsia is close to unstoppable. GJ also a Johnny-come-lately. This is his first scoring outing in the 424s, and that's going to see him also break into the top 10 for the championship. On the 85cc's, Corbin Lindsay this time around, getting a good run going on one of the older spec Kawasaki KXs into a number 5 spot. Chris Harmster Jr., who incredibly enough still races in the junior 85s, even though he is coming up to almost 5 feet tall. He is getting good coming out of the VW Mastercars Hatfield squad and looking to develop his style as he goes forward into the rest of the season. He's going to be improving inside the top 5 for the rankings as well with his number 4 finish. Retief Hutting was up the road with a little bit more experience underneath his belt. 3rd place on the day for him, and we may be able to see him also improve in his championship challenge. Corbin Muller, great hole shot, good pull off the gate, and good numbers on the line. Remember, Muller comes into this round as the championship points leader, taking a 2nd place at round 1, a win at round number 2, but this time around, there was one kid faster, and faster by quite a chunk as well. Mitch Fallon has got rid of all his 2021 injury woes and is now firing on all cylinders, but he's a Johnny-come-lately to the championship, so he's out of the top 10 for now, but if he keeps bringing home wins, he's going to be one to watch for the second half of this season. Here's confirmation of Fallon getting the win ahead of championship leader Muller. Hutting, Chris Jr. Harmster should stay in the top 3 rankings with his number 4 finish there. GJ Kutsia, a new winner on the tour, and will improve in the championship standings as well, ahead of JL. Then it's Powell, Skuman, Milan, and Eels. On the 50cc gate, Declan Richards also, watch out for him to rise like the cream to the top as he takes his first win on the tour ahead of Van Heerden, Lombard, Daniil, Van Heerden and Nel. Junior's done. Time to focus on the quads.
Last time I looked last night was 42 entries on the quads, so it's growing. We're getting there. There's a lot of guys that couldn't make it of our normal races that was busy. So yeah, hopefully next time we can make it even bigger and better. We're focusing on the quads, growing it a bit and getting it forward. When we started, yeah, it was mud, water, the whole place full. Luckily, the last 2 weeks there wasn't any rain, so it drained out quite nicely. We got some nice muddy sections, but it's not soaky wet. It's nice flowing for the quads. They're going to enjoy it immensely. Then we're going through a couple of fields, a couple of tree sections, and yeah, everything that's fun and nice. Also, luckily with no rocks, and we know the quads don't like the rocks, so they're gonna enjoy themselves today.
Awesome drone shots coming in to tell us the story, and thanks so much for our fill-in drone pilot on the day, giving us the cheese to work with. Out there on the course, again, the same story with the juniors. When the quads came in at the end of loop number 1, it was very clear it was going to be a challenging day. An incredible 50-50 mix of dust plus mud. Incredible way to go racing in the month of May. Those that attacked the mud and the water splashes too hard early on paid the price. Those that held back a little bit brought home the bacon. We have had 5 ladies scoring in the championship so far in the 2022 running of the 424 championship. This time around, just 2 classified finishers, and that means they're going to be really highly rewarded as we move forward into the second half of the championship. This being round 3 marks the halfway knuckle of the season. Kern Britt, who we caught up with off the start line, knew exactly what she had to do. Stay out of trouble. She did just that. She recorded a full race finish, second place on points, and that's going to be her first point scoring haul of the season as well. We should see her move inside of the top 5. But the lady to beat on the season, Karine Thiessen, a win at the opening round, a 3rd place at the second round, and she is our standout leader. In the quad wilds, Marco Gomez also opened up his racing account with a win at round number 1, 0 on the scorecard for round number 2, so it was his bounce back race. He couldn't quite get the win, but a second place here will keep him in the championship lead as he was bested only by 1 rider on the day. That rider, a kid who I used to chat about a long time ago, racing on the junior quad tour on the national front, Wilro Pienaar has swung a leg back onto the quad. He's now getting picked up by the old school customs racing squad, and he's showing that the skills that made him famous as a junior champion are still there as he takes his win. In the quad seniors, great numbers on the page. The quad senior gate has seen massive entries of 9 riders throughout the championship tour so far, and these are the best of the 5 coming out of round number 3. Vickers Pretorius got his name on the page there as he chased down onto the back wheel of Yanni Meyer and that fire-breathing KTM. Spare a thought though for Ronica Meyer as she drowned her bike in one of the mud bogs early on in lap number 1 and unfortunately was not able to get her points on the page. That saw her as well running high in the top 5 for the championship. But we'll focus on the seniors for now, as up the road from Meyer was Arno de Bruyn. 3rd place for De Bruyn will also see him running good numbers in his championship as he tries to improve in his championship challenge. Willie Jacobs, watch out for this guy as well, because I believe he's going to move up in rankings. He came into this round sitting down there in a number 6 spot. We're going to now see him leapfrog up to challenge inside of the top 4 with this classy ride out of a number 2 spot. Points on the plate at every single round. That's how you nail down a championship. The guy that knows how to win plenty of championships is this dude, Brian Herbst, having a somewhat resurgent season in 2022 and really hard to beat on every single race that he lines up on. But particularly the 424s, where he has gone undefeated. He said he didn't have the perfect day at the office at round number 3, but it was another win on the bounce. He continues to dominate in the seniors. Into the Q2s, a hard championship to call at the moment. Jan Ace came into this round on a 4th place, but a 5th place may see him battling to stay inside of that top 5 as we break into the second half of the championship. There are a lot of very quick and consistent riders on this gate right now. JP Du Toit muscled his way around this track. Maybe he didn't have the perfect setup on the quad, but he sat a little bit higher on the suspension settings. That helped him out when it came to the big mud crossings. Brother Kutzer, rock solid at this round, but he's going to have to work super hard on the second half of his championship challenge to try and improve his way inside the top 3 come the end of the settings. Remember, the Q2s setting some of the fastest lap times out there in the morning session. Reinhard Ross, a Johnny come lately to the championship as well. If only he had been showing up and running this kind of pace at rounds 1 and 2, he may have been challenging for the win in the championship. Second place, though, sets him up as a key threat for the rest of the season. David Stratum, though, finally got the monkey off his back at this round. A 6th place finish at round number 1 with mechanicals. A rare 2nd place finish at round number 2 put him in 2nd place for the championship coming into this round. But with Tinus Kutzer a no-show, and Tinus had gone 2 for 2 at the beginning of the championship, it is now David Stratum who easily takes over the championship points lead as we head into the second half knuckle of the championship. David Stratum, a key race for him on the tour. The Q1s were the first riders to come out of the gates in the morning session for the quads, and even though he came into this round with a slender lead in the championship, Clayton Buerta will lose the lead in the championship here at round number 3 with his lowest finish of the season down in a number 5 spot. The track just not to the champ's liking. Some riders can play the championship game, but I think Buerta has rolled the dice a little bit too early. He's gonna have to get 1s, 2s or 3s at the lowest to try and cling on to a championship podium come the end of the season. Up the road from him this time around was Stefan Pretorius. He's looking good on the Suzuki as well, and Stefan Pretorius came into this round 4th place on points, so we're obviously going to see him moving up in the championship order as well. Has come to life at round number 3. Matt Smith, who was in great shape at the beginning of the season but also had mechanical issues on his Honda, this time the Honda ran good, and Matt Smith brings home his highest quad finish ever on the 424 championship with a tasty looking number 3 spot ride. He was in 9th place in the championship coming into this round. We're going to see Matt jump up and tickle his way inside of the top 5 now. A good lad, and great to see him have a little bit of luck on his side for once. Up the road from him was the man who, on paper at least, was looking like he was going to walk away with the win at this round. He came in dominating the early laps as we saw the rest of the field start to close things down. Reinhard Swart and himself having a ding-dong battle in the early laps until David Stratum eventually joined the party as well. Rudy Erasmus, even though he had some navigational issues on the day, still tagged a number 2 finish, and we will see him improve as well. He came into this round 3rd on championship points. He's going to walk away, should be in 2nd place. Reinhard Swart, though, who got the cheese off the whole shot and had to go back and forth with Erasmus the whole way through the day, still tags a tasty finish. It was a 6th place ride coming out of round number 1. It was a win at round number 2. He backs it up with a win at round number 3. And Reinhard Swart, for the first time in his quad racing career, is the championship points leader in the 424s as we head to round number 4 of the championship. Reinhard Swart has truly come to life in 2022. Here's confirmation of Swart on top, beating out on Erasmus and Smitty, Pretorius, and then Buerta losing the championship lead with that number 5 ride, just beating out on Michael Nolter. In the Q2s, David Stratum, monkey off the back. He has got the win and the championship lead as he finished ahead of Ras, Kutzer, Dutoy, Ace, and Ruetz. In the seniors, once again, the story is the Brian Herbst show. Didn't get the pull off the gate that he's famous for, but did get his 3rd win on the bounce, and he is the runaway championship leader as he beats out Jacobs, De Bruyn, Meyer, Pretorius, and Niemand. In the wild class, Will Rupina, a new winner on the tour, but his championship points leader, Marco Gomez, 2nd place, still keeps him on the pound seats, with Corrine Thiessen still the lady to beat on the Q ladies, beating out this time on Kern Brits. That was the morning session with the juniors and the quads. Now time to get tasty and serious for the big bike classes to go out for the afternoon session. Small break in the day as we made sure that all the tracks from the morning session were clear and good to go. And after a lap of the big quad 30k loop, it was clear that it was quite chewed up. All this information got fed back to the motorcycle racers as they were biting at the bit to try and get out there, get the lineup and get going. Remember, this is a full championship challenge. And at round number 3, there'd been a couple of question marks couple of guys were looking for their first win, couple of guys looking for their second, one or two guys looking for their third win on the bounce as all the bikes roll to the big gate. As always, the pro category lined up first to go into the wilderness. Flag drop, and no big surprise that it was the Devastator that came banging out of the gate first. This guy is close to unstoppable, but amazingly enough, there are one or two guys on the gate at round number 3 that could be a big threat to him. Devin Smith was out there, Johnny Burter and JC Ninoba had turned up. So there was a lot of tasty riders out there. Don't write off the fact that Matthew Snyman was there as well, because he's so good in the early laps to try and run the pace of the leaders. On the Pro-Am gate, a lot of these guys have an argument to maybe run the pace with the guys a little bit further up the road, but they have their own championship challenge, and this often is one of the most hotly contested gates out there. Interesting to see who was going to be making the most of the challenging terrain out at round number 3. On the Open A's, it was a return to form for one of the Delmas locals. Jay Pretorius came firing out of the gate, and he would run good pace in the early laps, although fitness would catch him up around about halfway race distance. In the Open Bs, it was a return to racing as well for GG. That's Graham Criff rocking out on the Gas 250. Also, he was going to just work his way back into full race fitness. He's having a little bit of an up and down season so far, and he was aching to get a good run of form. In the seniors, also cool to see a good friend of ours here at Hollywood Hills, Leon van der Westhuizen, practically getting the whole shot in turn number 1, but he did come out of the queue with a good nose ahead of the championship leader, and that was Yanni Potgieter. Leon back on the money, seeing clear air for the first time in 5 years. On the OR Masters, interesting situation where we saw big pinners as well. Francois Swanepoel and Tony Greff were in it to win it for the championship. They would have a ding-dong battle the whole way through the race. But remember, it was Johan Bosch that came into this round leading, although he had one of his worst starts of the season. In the high school class, Jean-Andre Bosch was the dude to beat. Not a bad start for him this time around, although it was going to be elbows up the whole way through the day. There was some serious competition between himself and Hansi van der Berg. Those were the two fastest dudes at the beginning of the championship. In the ladies, Van der Moe finally gets the gate that she wanted and ran the numbers in the early laps. But on the championship challenge, it's been Danelle Delport with a win in a second place, who leads out in the series, but not by much. Nicole Compain, Michelle Daniel, Shelley Compain, and the rest were going to do the big chase down. And then in the wild class, a couple of these guys, first-time racers with us, they would go out and just have a spectacular day riding in the Delmas terrain. It was a relatively easy track on paper, not too many technical challenges, but the mud definitely was the unknown factor in the lowland section, and the course had obviously been chewed up big time in the morning by the quaddies. 85s, it was all about Luandre Krobler, the championship leader, once again going out to see what he could do. And then, what are the stories of the day? Our biggest ever gate in the classics, where we saw some tasty riders and amazing bikes. CR500 of Gareth Island eventually seeing clear air. Alistair Stubbs, his closest rival on the 250 KTM, and it was Gary Whitehouse with the whole shot.
Yeah, look, after the quads is through the loop, I think it's going to change completely, because there's a lot of places that's going to be ridden. I say not ridden out, but berms will be formed, some ruts and so forth. So it's going to change from, because it's so not wet but damp outside. I think it's going to change quite a lot for the two-wheelers. And yeah, from lap 2 on the two-wheelers, I think they're going to start really putting up fast times, because it's a fast and flowing lap, and I think it's going to be something different for them. It's going to, some parts going to turn out almost like an MX track at the end of the day with lacquer berms. So I hope the guys are going to enjoy it.
clear by the early stages of the race. The track was holding up quite nicely as we made our way through into the category breakdowns. Andre Stander tagging himself a number 5 finish in the classic ride, with early hole shotter Gary Whitehouse doing a good job of things inside of a number 4. He broke out the 330 smoker, and he said the suspension and brakes pretty much gave up on him after lap number 2. 4th place was the best he could do. Little Stubby, 13 years old. The bike is older than him. Jerome Stubbs swings a leg on the old RM250 and takes his highest ever classic ride on a number 3 spot. It's only right that Daddy Alistair Stubbs got it up into a number 2 spot. Never dropped out of 2nd place the whole way through the race, even though he took a big rock to the face and would be feeling it towards the end of the day. 2nd place, and the KTM 250 gets one of his highest finishes after a couple of mechanicals and flat tires early on in the season. Just 1/500 up the road. This time Gareth Ireland gets his first win on the season with a no-show for the KX500 of Visser. Means we've got a new guy as a new threat to watch out for in the rest of the Championship Challenge. In the 85 seniors, tough conditions for some of the juniors, certainly on the first couple of laps until they found their feet. Xander McLaren, even though he went down, he was still able to bring it home inside of a top 5. That's going to help him out for points on the plate. Joubert Van Niekerk was up the road from him, and Van Niekerk also late on the season arriving to this championship. It seems that the word has got out about how popular this little tour is, and the 424s are bringing the people once again. We had Janko Van Niekerk getting his way up there into a 3rd place on the 853 as well. And Janko should be able to see himself climb inside of a top 6 come the end of that ride as well. 3rd place is very good points on the plate. Ruan Opperman, who remember is 3rd place coming into this round. A 2nd place should see him improve as well. So Opperman losing out a little bit. Clearly a crash in the early stages of the race. Often you'll see that with mud bogs and water splashes. They tend to rip parts of the bikes off. But Opperman was good enough to back up his win at the opening round, 0 at the 2nd round, but now he is going to come under a huge threat as Luandre Grobler continues to build form and momentum. Opened up his season a couple of months back with a 2nd place. That's his lowest finish on the season so far, as at round number 2 he took the win. Round number 3 he backs that up. That's 2 wins on the bounce. He is the champs leader. ORWOWs, we saw Chris van der Bank getting a little bit crossed up there on a number 5 spot with Shane Wilson in a number 4. The old Husky Banana of Duncan Kruger stayed out of trouble, kept his nose relatively clean, and grabs a rock-solid number 3 finish on the day. That's going to help him out as well, as he clearly enjoyed the terrain and the setup on his machine here out at Delmas. 3rd place, not to be snubbed. And for a rider to stay that clean on the day, he had some funky lines. CJ Jansen didn't have the best lines. He got a little bit whiskey wild coming out of the mud box, and even though he was head to toe in mud and roost, he still picked up the 817 to walk away with a number 2 finish on the day. And that's why we put cameramen at the mud box. If you can't take the win, you will get famous for a loop out. Anyway, the whole idea is to keep on trucking, keep on rolling, and see the checkered flag, and that's how you get the bacon. Got himself up there, dusted himself off, dried himself out, and challenged his way up the road to a number 2 spot. But it was the Honda of Xander Gunter who walked away with the big win on the day. His lap times weren't too bad as well. You saw some very respectable lap times, kicking in between 30 and 35 minutes. A 32-minute lap time shows that he was by far the fastest wild-class dude out there. And the ladies category is going to be an interesting to watch out for, because at round number 3, we saw the entire top 5 shuffle and change around. Remember, it was Danelle Delport who was the championship leader coming into this round. Shelley Compain was up there inside the top 5 as well. Another 5th place for Shelley, stays inside the top 5. Michelle Daniil, she is going to be interesting to watch out for as well, because Michelle came into this round in 3rd place. She takes a number 4 finish. The championship points leader was up the road from her. Danelle Delport came into this round leading on the championship after a very consistent and fast start to the season on her sleepover Torquecraft Racing Honda. 3rd place, her lowest finish of the season, and that's going to see her lose the championship lead heading into round number 4. Up the road from her, Nicole Compain. She has been her closest rival the whole way through the season. A 2nd place at the opening round, a win, and in fact, she was sharing the championship points lead with Danelle coming into this round. Her win, though, sees her step up, and she will take a 2-point lead heading into round number 4. Van der Moe, who has been aching for a win the whole way through last year and this year, and she's found the numbers on the page. A rocket ship off the line, she grabbed the whole shot and never looked back. She takes her first win of the season, her first win on the 424 Racing Series, and watch her catapult her way up to break inside the top 5. For the high schools, interesting situation where we saw a lot of new kids and a little bit of new blood breaking their way inside the top 5. Dion van Stad on the 508, 5th place. That's going to be one of his best finishes of the season, as well as we see the high schools come to life here at round number 3. Marnus Herbst was up there into a number 4 with Christian Swart Jr. inside of a number 3. Again, a lot of new kids on the block coming into round number 3, obviously hearing on the grapevine about 424s and deciding to come and swing a leg. Second place, Henke Smith walks away with his highest finish, and by the sounds of things, he is going to be a challenger as well. Came into this round in 4th place. Second place, we'll see him jumping up inside of the top 3. But it's Jandre Bosch who once again will run off the front. He didn't have the best start to the season, finishing outside the top 6 down in 7th place, but a win at the previous round sees him as the championship points leader. He backs it up with another win at round number 3. Jandre Bosch is your championship leader in the high schools. Into the Masters, where once again we see more and more new people coming into the fray, and the championship will change completely now. Andre Kutsia, 5th place. Mark Lightfoot, his best ever race at the 424s as well. Definitely found the track to his liking and walked away with a number 4 spot. Martin Poole, on a high-speed track, you expect to see Martin run higher numbers than this. 3rd place was the best that he could muster on the Yami on the day. Tony Krief, he's going to be one to watch out for now. The previous round, switching bikes from the Husky to the KTM. 2nd place this time around, but he knew he was in a fight. And remember, he is a late comer to the championship as well, so we're going to have to see what he can do for the rest of the season. Francois Swanepoel, also a late comer to the championship, but dusts off the top step of the podium to get his first win of the tour. And then in the seniors, James Moreland, a downhill pro, comes into cross-country racing and gets onto the top 5 first time of asking. Rudy Martins, in the number 4 spot up the road from him, did a very nice job of things, with Strati Giannakis airing his way out and just grinning the whole way through this lap. He definitely found the track to his liking at round number 3. DJ Milan, who has been on and or thereabouts the whole way through the season, finally gets onto his Husqvarna, finally finds the groove that he wanted to, and finally gets his highest finish with a number 2 spot. Milan, though, out of the championship. We're going to have to see what he can do for the rest of the year. One of the guys who's committed to the championship, riding out of the VW Mastercars Hatfield squad, Yanni Potgieter, one of the few riders on the tour, like Brian Herbst, who's gone 3 for 3 and is the outright points leader in the seniors. Going up the road into the Open Bs, where once again the theme of round number 3 was a lot of new blood coming into play. Gian Thiersen got his way inside of a top 5, so he got some points on the plate, and we will possibly see him move now up inside the top 10 on the championship challenge. Devan Pieterse, this guy is championship points leader, coming off a solid number 4 finish at round number 1 and a win at round number 2. But he was bested on the day by not 1, 2, but 3 riders. Xander Marks gets his best run of form going, but he's late to the championship, so he's going to have a clean run of things for the rest of the season. Nathan Godrich, in good form, came into this round 4th place on championship points, and we should potentially see him take over the lead with this good run of form. Godrich going to be a consistent rider now, but he's going to have to not step out of the podium placings, because Graham Krief is coming on strong with a vengeance. This is his first ride in the 424s as well, so he gave away a chunk of points at rounds 1 and 2, but if he keeps up this pace, he could still walk away with the championship. GG on the money at round number 3. In the Open A's, interesting situation where we saw Jay Pretoria swing a leg. He hasn't raced for a couple of seasons now, rather focusing on navigational duties on the National Cross Country Series, and he came back onto his bony, ripped the bars off the Yami and got the whole shot, but dropped eventually through lack of race pace down to a number 5 spot. His good buddy and a guy who's looking good for the championship, Jean Skierper's Suns Out Guns Out, was in the number 4 spot, but he also got boxed all the way down to 4th place, as we saw Ben Roos-Stratum getting up into a number 3 spot and Jacques Oosthuizen on the money to a number 2. Stratum and Oosthuizen were very evenly matched in the early stages, and eventually Oosthuizen did get a little bit of clear air, got his fueling strategy a little bit better than his compatriot there, Stratum, but you can see on the course there how close they ran throughout the rest of the day's racing. Going to be a battle to watch out for. But Conrad Neervoet was near on unstoppable. His lap times would see him challenge for one of the top 10 times of the day. He was one of the few riders that squeaked his way well under the 30-minute marker. Up the road into the Pro-Ams, where now we saw Sean de Lange. He found a lot of roost and the big mud bogs in the early part of the day, but he still broke his way inside of a top 5. The Pro-Am races are eye-wateringly fast, and a lot of them could definitely challenge some of the times of the pro riders up there. Gav Young was a little bit higher up the road. 4th place finish for him. That's his best ride of the season as he came into this round in 8th place. Gav getting picked up by Old School Customs and ripping the bars off the Yamaha YZ250. Put it on the nose there, but thankfully didn't put it into the dam. Little shake of the head, dusted himself off, and Gav is on a roll now as he rips his way up to 4th place. That should see him improve up inside the top 5 as we roll into round number 4 of the championship. Jaden Loubser, although Gav was fast, there was a Yami smoker a little bit quicker than him. Loubser also a Johnny-come-lately to the championship, so we will see him also challenging inside the top 5. Like Loubser's style, like his pace, like the way that he throws the bike around. But again, there were 2 riders a little bit quicker. Vickers Olivier, he is good. He came into this round 2 spot in the championship. 2nd place here, we'll see him stay in the 2 spot because the top 2 riders are the top 2 riders in the championship as we stand in the 2022 season. Vickers Olivier running off a number 2 spot, followed by a number 4 spot. That sees him in 2nd place, but Jean-Dre Olivier, so good and one of the few riders out there. I think there's only 4 riders on the tour so far who have gone clean slate. Jean-Dre Olivier on the Sherco is one of those riders. A win at round number 1, round 2, and he makes it a 3-peat, locking things out in the first half of the season. He is the man to beat, but if he puts one wheel wrong, Vickers Olivier will be there to get him. Then we move forward into the pro classes. The pro race was an absolute eye-waterer where we saw some crazy pace coming out of the riders. Sean Badenhorst, solid as ever in the number 5 spot the whole way through the day, but up inside of the top 4 was a great story to watch out for. Matthew Sneeman, great off the gate, doesn't tend to lose too much pace throughout the race as it builds up, but 4th place will definitely keep him in the hunt as well. Remember, the pro gate is a very, very tricky one to win, and you've got to be able to bring home the bacon at every single round. Matt Sneeman is one of those riders, 6th place coming into this round. He will improve with a 4th place finish here as well to break inside of the top 5 for the championship. That battle is going to heat up as well as Vernon Nordia has finally found his groove. No points on the page at round number 1, but a solid number 3 finish coming in at round number 2. He backs it up with another 3rd place. He seems to have found his rhythm in his groove and how to get the most out of his 350 444 Motorsport Husqvarna here at the 424 Cross Country Series. Nordia's 3rd place shows that he's going to be a player in the mix. John Buerta, who ran most of the day in 3rd place and was ripping the bars off the Franchise Co. Factory Racing Kawasaki, was in the fight with JC Nienaber and Devin Smith in the early laps. But as the race wore on, you could see it was a horsepower race, and the 250 just did not have the top end legs to stay with the 350 Husky and the 450 Husky of the Devastator and Nienaber. Those 2 stretched away as John Buerta settled himself into an early 3rd place finish. Eventually 3rd place became 2nd as things changed out front. Buerta gets his finish on the page and his highest run in the 424s. What happened though later on in the day was a little bit of drama. You could see that the top 3 were running the numbers and no one was able to close the gaps as they headed out onto the last lap. But unbeknownst to everyone else, on lap number 4, this rider, JC Nienaber, with a roundabout 1-minute lead over the Devastator, had crashed hard at the end of lap number 4, damaging his knee, and decided to bow out of the race. That left the course open for the Devastator, and Devin Smith dropped the hammer. He didn't need to be asked twice, although he didn't know at this stage that JC had pulled out, so he was still chasing a ghost out there on the track. Same situation for John Buerta, as he was now in 2nd place and looking down the barrel of his highest ever 424s. Nothing stopped the Devastator from putting on the show though, as he ripped the bars off. The fans racing Factory Husqvarna once again to get his big win going. 3rd place in points coming into this round, now the championship leader.
Yeah, I got all short. we went out of the track. Me and Jay-Z were tail on tail the whole race too. He was front, I wasn't in front. But only the one lap, and after that he was just gone, and I couldn't find him. But I heard he had an accident, so well done to Jay-Z. It really had me almost. Yeah, it was a lot of mud, but yeah, a lot of dust also. Yo, every straight it was dust. So it was actually a nice one. A lot of straight, so you can pin it 5th gear all the way, and yeah. Yeah, I think that all the GXCC members and the riders must come and race here because this is really fun. And also Farm Jam, because Farm Jam is also really fun, so yeah.
Yeah, I did one of the 44s last year, I really liked it. And we came out to support them, and it was a fun race, so it was proper. It was a good dice, but they're just so much faster on the big bikes. The 250 can't keep up. But yeah, good challenge, eh? It was like a dam, eh? At some stages, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. Just 5th gear pinned, eh? Yeah, lots of fast stokes that we have to get out here to try and come and support them. Thanks to the franchise co CRT, Talkcraft, all of our sponsors, Fox, South Africa, Kawasaki. The bike was awesome today. Really a good weapon for the cross countries.
So there you have it, confirmation of the Devastator on top. That should see him moving up in the championship points lead. He beat out on Berta, Nordea, Sneeman, Bodenhorst and Nienaber, even though he had problems, still finished in the number 6. Then you go forward into the Pro-Ams. Jean-Andre Olivier remains undefeated. That is 3 for 3 for him, beating out once again here on Olivier, Loebscher, Young, De Lange and Barzek. Conrad Nieuwoud wins out ahead of a stacked field of pinners in the Open A's, beating out on Oosthuizen and Stratum. Skippers, Old Suns Out was there in 4th place. His good partner Jay Pretorius in the number 5 spot, and Jason Lightfoot tags a finish inside number 6. GG arrives at round number 3, taking the win in the Open Bs ahead of Nathan Godrich, who takes over the championship points lead, beating out on Marks, Petersen, Thiessen and Duplessis. Into the seniors, Yanni Potgieter goes 3 for 3, the perfect score so far, 60 points and counting, with DJ Milan on his 2nd place ahead of Ionakis, Martins, Moorland and Hrobler for a number 6. Into the Masters category, Francois Swanepoel gets his first win of the championship in the 424s, beating out on Tony Krief. Watch out for those guys to have a ding-dong the rest of the season, beating out this time on Poole, Lightfoot, Kutsia and Compain. In the high schools, Jean-Andre Bosch now takes a stranglehold on the championship with 2 wins on the bounce heading into round number 4, beating out on Smitty, Swartz, Herbst, Van Stad and Farrell. Into the OR ladies, a new winner and potentially a new threat to the championship. Van der Moe gets the win on the season ahead of Nicole Compain, who now stands on top in championship ahead of Delport, Daniel, Compain and Farie. And in the Wows, we got a new dude to watch out for, Xander Gunter. Very fast lap times to beat out on CJ Janssen, Kruger, Wilson, Van der Bank and Benedel. Into the 85 Pros, which even though they're running small bikes, did some very fast lap times. Check it out there, a 33.54 coming in for Leandre Hrobler, who's the championship leader now, beating out on Opperman, Vanny Kirk, that Joubert this time, ahead of McLaren and Bosch. And the Classics, a new win on the tour, Gareth Island in the big CR500, win out ahead of Stubby Squared. That's Alistair and Jerome, with Whitehouse, Stander and Dryberg rounding out a rocking top 6. And from the Classics, we go down to the Classics to have a chat with the lads.
Oi, go stand over there. I mean it. Go stand over there. Yeah, because you know what they do? Their eyes go looking for you, you see. I'm a delicate flower, eh? One of the coolest things about the 424s is the Classics, and as you can see behind us, we've got some absolutely mint bikes. It's become a real cool story because this has just been our biggest ever entry of the Classics. And Stubby, I mean, you're not a Classic rider, but you are now.
I am, yes. So the bike I was riding, it was an 88 RM250. I think we've had it for quite a while. We've restored it, sort of, and it went well on the track.
It's funny to ride a bike older than you, hey?
It is very.
Going off the gate, Stubbs, obviously, you know, these are old bikes and everyone says, no, we don't really race them. But when the flag drops, you race.
Yes, but because this is an MX bike, I had a few practice starts and no power low, but high, and you definitely got the power there.
Big Stubbs, I've been talking to you for ages on tons and tons of tours. Look, how is the other guy? Because you look like you've been in a big fight, firstly.
Yeah, I've took a big rock in the mouth from a 4-stroke and had a big bail down the back straight at the mud hole. And yeah, I've taken a hell of a tumble, but it was so nice to race with my son. I mean, he's just turned 13 6 months ago, so it was nice to have him in the classics with us. It's really a privilege to have him with us, yeah.
Tell me about the rest of the field. Obviously, we've known at the beginning of the season it was all the KX 500. I saw a couple of big 500 Hondas this time around, but how was the big KTM?
I've got a KTM 250. I think I took a second in the whole shot behind a CR 500, speak under correction. I'd kept it in my sight for probably 3-4 Ks, but just a bit too quick. And I think when I fell, I think I was overtaken. And when I went out for my fourth lap, I was 50 meters behind him. But after my fall on the third lap, I just couldn't afford another fall. No, I'd be dead.
As we've been saying, this is the biggest gate we've seen of the classics. We know there's tons more guys out there. Have you got a shout out to those guys? Tell them to come race with us?
Absolutely. I mean, we know how big the VMX passion is, the nostalgia for the older guys, and you know, it's my mates and I here. We make up 5 or 6 out of the class of 15, and yeah, it's good to see some of the other VMX guys. And I know that there are more. Some people had to attend funerals this weekend, but yeah, we could get that up to 20 quite easily, I guess.
That was all of the action from round number 3, a brand new venue on the tour. We cannot wait to see what 424 has in store for us for round number 4. This was the halfway marker of the championship. Hold your breath. 22 has still got a lot to give. All of this 424 Off-Road Series cross-country racing action was proudly brought to you by HFC Engineering, Mastercars VW Hatfield, AC Crane Maintenance, EMD Boxburg, Insight Printing and Packaging, the 424 Garage, Savuti Transport, Old School Customs, and welcoming K Creative. So that's what's gone on. So what is coming up in the racing month of, well, what's left of May and what's coming up in June. So I'm going to be going up next week. I'm going to go up with the guys on the National Cross Country Tour. They're racing in Excelsior. That's like Freiburg plus VAT, so it's way out there. So I'm going to be on the mic making some noise, and we'll try and get a little bit of footage so we can put it out there on Hollywood Hills. Then at the end of the month, of course, we're going to be going out to what was round number 3, which now becomes round number 4 of the GXCCs. That's going to be out in Rodium, just beyond Bella Bella. I'm actually going to go out next week and speak to Vian and see if the track has dried up and be able to report that back to you. Straight after that, we get ourselves ready to obviously go into the full production for the GXCC. So we'll see you guys up there on the line. And of course, this is the first time that in 2022, the GXCCs will be fully filmed by Hollywood Hills and LiveX, our collaboration working very well there once again. And that's going to be covered by the VW Mastercars Hatfield boys. Big thanks to Chris Harmser for hooking us up for that one. Then, of course, in between those, I'm going to be going up and chatting to Leon and Rowan, chatting to the boys from Vans Racing and about Farm Jam, their third round of the championship. They're going to be going to Sergeant Pepper's, so I'll obviously go out and do a recce, have a chat with the boys, see what they've got in store for us. They've already started loading up a couple of venue pictures, which is all very exciting as well. And then obviously we'll go into a full production for that. Their event going up on the 11th of June. And then at the end of June, we've got round number 4 of the 424. So super busy production run, super busy on the mic, and nice things coming down the pipe. While I talk about the Farm Jam boys, just remember, they have actually now opened up and they're going to be inviting partners to come on board if they want to be involved in the tour that is Farm Jam. It's really cool. Since they kind of went across into the full hair scramble format, you can see that the Farm Jams are really on the up and up as well. So if you guys want to get involved, get hold of Leon or get hold of Rowan. I'm going to put up their contact details and email details if you guys want to give any prizes or want to be involved in the production or want to be involved in any way with Farm Jam. Get hold of the lads up there. The Van der West Station is doing a banger job. Remember, it's one of the longest running off-road tours, now known as the Hare Scrambles. So these guys are really on the up and up. Obviously, they get a lot of coverage on Hollywood Hills here because they're one of our big tours that we do cover, and they do still have plenty of racing left in the season. So get hold of Leon or Rowan from Vans Racing and the Farm Jam boys if you want to be involved in that incredible tour. For now, as you can see, we've had a super busy last couple of weeks. We're going to have a crazy next 6 weeks or so. So hang on to your hats and stay tuned. Catch you guys later.